Alright guys, Rich here from the RC Network, and this is going to be an unboxing of the SST Death Adder. This is a 1/9 scale 4-wheel drive brushless electric rally car. Now, I picked this up from GearBest.com. They actually sent this to me. I have been kind of contacted by them several times to take a look at some of the vehicles that they offer. Now, GearBest is a kind of do everything type website. They offer everything from like iPhone cases to remote control cars to all sorts of different things. Now, the one thing that I was really hesitant about GearBest was that it doesn't really actually produce this item. They basically simply kind of distribute it out to the consumer like you and I. Now, with this vehicle, I was a little bit skeptical when placing the order, although they did provide it for free, because there was a lot of confusion on what it included. And there was two different versions, and I kind of broke it down on their website. There was this version, which is the ready-to-run version. So this is going to include everything in the box to get you running on day one. $250 for this brushless electric RTR. Now, they do have the exact same model listed as an almost ready to run, but it does not include a battery or a radio system, so you'd have to provide that. It is also a brushed version of this, so for $50 less, you are missing the battery, the remote, and a brushless system. So keep that in mind if you do plan to order this. Now, with this unboxing, you're going to see what you get inside the box. I will have a running video of this vehicle and then a final review on whether it's worth the $250 for the consumer. So I've actually reviewed several rally cars in the past, and what just kind of drew me to this one was it looks so much like the Kyosho DRX. Now, the 1/9 scale is kind of taken from that Kyosho because it was based on a 1/8 scale buggy, so to speak. So it looks like they've taken this platform and kind of mixed it all the way across the board here, just adding different arms and suspension and whatnot. So you have everything from a rally car, monster buggy, monster truck, truggy, short course, I think, and a hammer car, or kind of like the Traxxas Dakar, the Robbie Gordon truck. So anyways, so this unboxing, let's get into this thing and see what you get. Now, one thing that I'm a little bit disappointed in was there was no mention of Death Adder when I ordered this, and originally it had Seisu, that S-A-I-S-U, across the side of the vehicle. It kind of looked like Subaru. Kind of, it had a little bit more scale look to it than Death Adder, and maybe this will scare Vass, but you know, Death Adder, I guess it's a snake. I guess it's, you know, in Australia. I'm not sure, but anyways, I don't really kind of relate to Death Adder on a vehicle. It just looks kind of stupid, but anyways, that is just my take on it. Maybe there was a translation issue on it. I'm not sure. But let's get this unboxing going. Now, a couple of the things that are kind of nice is you do get some complete differentials. You get some steel parts on this thing. It's pretty actually decent once you dig into the bits and pieces that you get in it. Now, with that, this is just a look at it. I have not run this thing yet. So let's unbox this thing and see what you get inside the box. Already cut it open, kind of took a peek inside of it to see what I got. And right here, pretty large rally car right out of the box. So I'm going to get this thing unpackaged, and I'll be right back. Alright, so I went ahead and got everything out of the box and kind of played around with a lot of this vehicle already. So really quick, what you get inside the box, other than, of course, the vehicle and the remote you see in the foreground, you do get a boxed 2S or 3S LiPo balance charger AC input. So really haven't opened this up yet, but it looks just to be a somewhat trickle charger for the battery, so several hours to get your battery charged. It does come with a AC plug here. This is a US plug, so that's always good, but just, you know, pretty much wrapped up for that charger. Now with that, you also get several instructions manuals. You get this SST 105, which is for the actual radio. So this gives you all the information you want about the radio. You get an owner's manual for the brushless system that's included in the car that's already installed. And you get, finally, the owner's manual that gives you all the information about this vehicle. And they do have the rally car as a thumbs up right here. You get a couple of zip ties, you get extra body clips. It looks like you get some diff shims and some spacers. Not sure why I would need those, but they are included inside that package. Now also, not sure what I did with it, but you get a bind plug and also a little antenna tube, which is actually right here. Just found it. Look at that. So pretty much everything you need to run the car on day one. Now with this, the rally car, really quick, let's look at the remote. Kind of lost for words right now, and you guys will see why here in just a few minutes. Kind of very inexpensive looking and feeling radio. Pretty much all plastic. This looks like it's kind of like a rubber backhand, but you do have a rubber wheel right here, kind of like a fake rotor inside of there, little stubby antenna. You have plenty of switches and whatnot inside this little flip up lid for your trim levels, reversing, and your power on off switch. You also get a steering dual rate knob. Now the big bummer on this radio, of course, it does take 8 AA batteries, so that's kind of like very 2010. So anyways, that is the radio. Now for the car, I pulled it out of the box, and one zip tie was holding in, which is great, and just started kind of, taking a look at it to see what it looks like and how it feels and everything. And the first thing I noticed when I got it out of the box here is, if you see the body, the way it's cut, the rear wheel is like kind of cocked back into the body there. So may have to look at trimming the body to make this thing work. The decals look very haphazardly put on the vehicle. You can kind of tell here on the actual tail light right here. It's just all kind of curled on. There's lots of damage to the body from shipping. The front little roof scoop is all kind of chafed on the top. I did have to install the rear wing right there, or the rear spoiler. It comes with the hardware included and some double-sided tape, so that was pretty much put on. Underside, just a basic screen printed body, pretty thin, especially towards the rear. You can kind of hear the crackling of how thin it is, so a little bit disappointed on the body, but let's get to the actual chassis of the vehicle. So this seems to be a pretty similar design to a lot of vehicles on the market. Pretty much a stamped aluminum chassis plate. Seems to be about 3 millimeters. It might be a little bit less. Pretty decent. When you just start looking at it, you have a center differential, 2 other geared differentials. So looks to be kind of like an 8-scale buggy-ish type of layout. Battery, ESC, motor, servo. So pretty good weight balance throughout. The entire suspension system runs on pivot ball suspension, both front and rear, which is a little bit odd. It actually uses the same arms, front and rear, both the upper and lowers. You do have adjustable turnbuckles on the front for the steering, and the rear has adjustable turnbuckles to a certain degree, but they are plastic. They actually have a plastic non-adjustable, at least without taking it all apart, the rear toe in. So pretty much it is kind of odd because it uses all the same arms, both front and rear, same shock towers, front and rear. Probably saves on costs. It even uses the same shocks, both front and rear, so no suspension differences on the front or rear. This basically just mirrored completely. So it does use all standard metric hardware throughout, which is a very nice feature. Usually on lower end RCs, you'll see lots of Philips hardware. So it looks like there was some thought into at least the hardware on this vehicle. Do have to install the antenna tube, although it is not cut into the body. So let's take a look at some of the electronics. before I get to why I was speechless at first. You do get a non-marked brushless censored motor. Looks to be a little bit shorter than a 540 sized can, but it does have this included little kind of heat dissipation aluminum fin thing right here. So no markings on the motor whatsoever, so I have no idea what it is. The website did not include that information as well. Looks to be probably 32 pitch gearing. It is a 1/8 inch shaft on the motor, and it is a stamped steel, it looks like, motor mount. So somewhat of a sliding motor mount, although there are Phillips hardware that actually mounts the motor to the motor plate. ESC is a WP10 BL50 RTR, so 50 amp ESC. It does state that it is waterproof. However, no markings on the motor or the actual servo to indicate waterproofness. Do have a waterproof switch up here for the ESC as well. So this just looks to be a hobby wing-ish speed control that's just been rebranded for this vehicle. So you do have Dean's connectors, or Dean's style connectors. They're very kind of translucent, so they kind of are somewhat of a see-through design, but nonetheless you get a compatible connector. So on over here to the servo, no idea, there's no markings on it whatsoever. Plastic servo horn. You do have an adjustable link right there up to the servo saver, which is very loose right now. I am not able to move the servo at all by moving the tires. The servo saver is kicking in, which good in some respects, bad in others. Now onto the LiPo battery that's included, which is pretty shocking. Typically you'll see nickel metal hydrides, and you get a stick style pack right here. This is stating it's a 2700 milliamp lithium polymer battery. It is a 2S 7.4 volt, has the Dean style connector, and has a carbon look to it. Probably the best thing on this car so far is this battery, but what's really odd is the size of it. This is a 2700 milliamp. This is a 2200 milliamp battery right here, and there's nothing in here. I mean, it's almost caving in as I'm holding it. It feels very lightweight, like they shoved a very small battery inside of a larger battery case to give the illusion that there's a large battery included with this. So anyways, that is that. Now on for my somewhat disappointment here as I kick the camera. The first thing that I noticed when I was testing out the suspension here is, the front suspension feels quite springy, doesn't feel very dampened, so I'm going to have to inspect whether or not there's shock fluid in there. But the rear is what really kind of worries me, is it goes down and stays down on both sides until you help it back up. So there is definitely some stiction in there. Not sure where it lies. It might be the pivot balls that weren't adjusted right. Could be the pistons inside the shocks. I will have to inspect that later, but nonetheless, that is going to be a very poor performing rear suspension on this vehicle. Now, the very disappointing thing that will lead to definite issues is the driveline. I'm trying to push it forward right now, and there is some serious things binding up this driveline. There is a huge kind of notch somewhere, whether it be a front diff, a rear diff, a center differential. The center shafts are wobbling like crazy. It's hard to pick up on camera, but there's a huge stiction somewhere in this vehicle that I need to inspect. So I haven't ruled out this vehicle yet, but I am definitely skeptical at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and get this thing buttoned up, charge that 2700 milliamp 2S LiPo that's included. I'm going to turn on the camera and see what this thing can do. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this unboxing. I know it is a little bit depressing at this point, but I do want to get this information out there. GearBest contacted me, so I am going to give my review of this vehicle. So anyways, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed this very long video. If you are in the market to pick up a vehicle This is definitely out there, but please wait for my running review and my final review of this vehicle before you click that buy button. Well, guys, that is it for now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and over and out.